Hello and welcome, beloveds, to the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr.MumbiSeraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways, or that you are moving into living life truly on your own terms, because that is what is available to us. So a lot is happening on the Dr. Mumbi Show. You know, this is a show where we bring you all the news from across the world. You've been seeing the Dr. Mumbi Show on Dr. Mumbi Live, where we've actually moved our news to this channel, and we're going to be revamping the Dr. Mumbi Show to kind of fit in with the seasons and times that we're in. We're still waiting for those spiritual downloads of what exactly that is going to look like. But be sure to subscribe so that you find out when we start to upload that new content. Thanks to every single person that supports us on our Patreon and our PayPal accounts. You guys have enabled us to do so much, including getting a new website. Go ahead and check it out, www.drmumbishow.com. And this story is absolutely crazy, and there's a lot of anger in Sudan after the U.S. proposed to remove Sudan from the terrorism list for $330 million compensation to American victims. Now, this is just, it's in bad taste on so many levels. And what the U.S. government is saying, I mean, it's basically like pay for your name to be removed. So what is this terrorist list? Can the terror list really be relied on? Because if it's about you pay to get off, then all these things. This is just their matrix. This is the madness of their matrix. So the U.S. actually proposed to remove Sudan from a list of states that sponsor terrorism in exchange for a $330 million payment compensation to American citizens of Al-Qaeda, American victims of Al-Qaeda, sorry. And this has caused a lot of anger in the poverty-stricken country, where at least 10 million people are actually facing acute hunger because of the U.S. sanctions, and because they've been on this U.S. terror list. Sorry, guys, I'm throbbing. I'm excited by what's happening, but I can't share right now. Anyway, so basically, because they've been on this U.S. terror list since 1993, that has blocked them from international funding. That has basically kept them out of the matrix. They couldn't get assistance. They couldn't apply for international aid. They were blocked from a lot of the agencies that offered international aid. And the man behind that was al-Bashir. And what happened is that there was actually a double bombing. Where this whole thing started is there was a double bombing of the embassies in Kenya and Tanzania back in 1998. I remember the day like it was yesterday. And they later found that Sudan had actually facilitated Osama bin Laden, although you have to question who's behind these attacks for real. That's a whole conversation in its own. But the courts in the US found Sudan guilty of providing essential support to Al-Qaeda when bin Laden was based in the country, allegedly between 1991 and 1996. Bin Laden was literally like Bush's partner and a fictitious, character. Anyway, you guys, if you don't know that. And so they said, so a lot of Sudanese are actually arguing. Some are saying they don't have the money to pay. They're literally, their economy, their country has been brought to a halt because of being on this terror list. Others are saying that, the politicians who actually did this, Bashir's government, who supported Al-Qaeda, etc., they just toppled that government, in a citizen revolution. It was absolutely amazing to watch. And so now the citizens are saying, we've removed the people who did this, and then now you want to come back and punish us. And get this, the Tanzanian and Kenyan victims would get absolutely nothing, whereas the American victims would get $330 million. And I mean, partly it's because that shows you we don't know how to negotiate for ourselves, like for real. But this is just, it's very, very heartbreaking. Many are actually contesting it, and the deal is very controversial, even among potential beneficiaries, although some feel that Sudan may have to pay or may be pushed into a corner. It's the same thing as Zimbabwe, beloveds, how these governments operate. But we must ask ourselves what jewels, what gems are in Sudan that they would be put on this terror list for so long, or what revolutionary mindset is in Sudan. A lawyer who represented several hundred victims said, Sudan was led down a total blind, dead end alley by the State Department by telling them they can roll over the non-Americans. My clients are very sympathetic to the people of Sudan, and they want them to have bright future under the rule of democracy and human rights. They want this to be resolved in a fair way for everyone. So he was arguing that, even the Kenyan and Tanzanian victims should get something. Everybody wants something. But the way this whole thing was done, because Pompeo was actually in Sudan, you see how the world goes on. Time does not wait. The sun doesn't wait for the queen. Time doesn't wait for the queen. Time rolls on. Things are still happening. Because while there's all this drama happening in the divided states, Pompeo was in Sudan doing this. But so the Sudanese are like, we don't have the money. We shouldn't be forced to pay. We've just had a revolution. You should actually be supporting us. But it's not about support, beloveds. It's about business. And once we get it's about business, our mindset will change and we'll start to operate differently. Because even with our presidents, it's all about business. Until next time, tuko pamoja.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Hello and welcome to Africa Watch on the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr.MumbiSeraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I pray you're well in all your ways and that you are truly living your best life. Very, very sad news. Before I even get into that, thanks to every single person that has subscribed to the channel. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, guys. And thanks to every single person that supports us through our PayPal and Patreon. Really, really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate the support. Do not take you for granted. Now, a couple of weeks ago, or was it a month or two ago, we witnessed an amazing revolution in Sudan. We saw, Bashir arrested at 3 a.m., literally from his bed, just and we saw all these things happening. There was a transition. Well, we thought there was a transition. He was arrested. Then a few of his cronies were arrested. Then we saw him actually being taken, to prison, because at first he had been hidden for a couple of days. No one knew where he was. Then he was transferred to one of the major prisons, and people thought everything was going well. Then we saw these amazing sightings of, hundreds of thousands of people lining the streets of Sudan. We saw the woman. Remember the woman in the white outfit, kind of cheering people on, and she kind of became the figurehead of the movement. And then we saw, the massive sit-ins where we were seeing the civilians having massive demonstrations in front of the military complex, etc. Well, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, I don't know what changed, but I don't even know how this whole thing went down. But a couple of days ago, you guys saw it, where all of a sudden the military had this huge crackdown. And in the space of 24 hours, over 100 people had allegedly been taken out. And we saw the, people being beaten on the streets, and people just being taken out. And what they're saying is that there's actually a split within the military ruling regime. And what we're praying for now is that Sudan does not go into a civil war, because we hear there's a clash. And it's so sad, because we had gotten so far, and basically the international community, the African Union, they've been pushing for the military rulers to actually hand power back to a civilian rule. There were even negotiations that happened. And we saw, remember I told you guys that the revolution was actually it was mainly carried out by the Sudanese Professional Association, doctors, scientists, engineers, lawyers, accountants. They're the ones who really pushed for this. And, it says a lot about, when the middle class says enough is enough, when the middle class says enough is enough, things move,